Well, everyone, I've been talking so much about iOS 14 that it's time to now talk about iPadOS 14, which some people might assume they're the same thing or whatever, but now for the better or for the worse, I will tell you right now, iPadOS 14 coming from iPadOS 13 really wasn't like a crazy big upgrade. Like, it was a good update for sure, but there's still a lot of quirky things going on. But I think as a whole, because the update wasn't a crazy big update, it really hasn't been super unstable. I think iOS 14 was a bigger update coming from iOS 13, but iPadOS 14 is much more stable in my opinion than iOS 14 right now. Now, specifically for these older iPads, I have the original iPad Pro 9.7 inch, an iPad Mini 4, and iPad Air 2, and these are some of the oldest iPads that support iPadOS 14. And I've really only ran into one specific problem, and that one problem is that on my iPad Mini 4, for some reason, the widgets are not working, so I can't access them, which is really weird. But other than that, I've had a really good experience on basically all my devices that are running iPadOS 14. But specifically with these older iPads, what's really interesting is that with the iPad Air 2 and even with the iPad Mini 4, these things for the most part have pretty much the same chipsets as an iPhone 6. You know, of course they have a little bit of a better one, the A8X or whatever, but they still kind of at their core have the same chipsets as the iPhone 6, which is very impressive that it's still getting some of the newer versions of software. And what's really, really cool is that almost all of the features within iPadOS 14 are suitable for an iPad like an iPad Air 2 or for the iPad Mini 4. And when I was looking at these, when I was, moving around with them, I was honestly kind of surprised that these things, first of all, are even getting this update, but second of all, that they're pretty stable for the most part. Like I stated, when I was running my benchmark scores, none of them randomly shut down. I didn't have any random reboots. I didn't have any issues like that. My iPads didn't randomly, freeze up and the apps open up perfectly fine, which is really impressive. And I think that's one of the more important aspects of it. It's very important to talk about the problems within iOS and iPadOS and all that stuff, which I do all the time. But when it's going great and things are good, it's also very important to talk about those things too. And I will tell you, in the future, I would still recommend you do not install iPadOS 14. It's just not worth it. Even though it's pretty stable for the most part, my experience could be totally different from yours. And even though I only have one glitch, which is very temporary and it's going to get fixed probably very soon, it doesn't mean that you won't have any issues or you won't have less issues or something. If you update your device, you might have way more issues than me. It's just my experience right now. So what I'll tell you though is that do not install iPadOS 14 right now in beta form or even the public beta, but very soon when it officially comes out, for those people who own these older iPads, these iPads like the iPad Air 2, the iPad Mini 4, even some older iPad Pros, you're going to have a pretty stable and good experience overall, which is going to be very, very impressive. One thing that I've always seen is that when an iOS version comes out, whether for iOS or iPadOS, whatever, the iPad software is almost always more stable than the iPhone software, which I never really understood why. Like, shouldn't it kind of just be the same thing? But it is what it is. I will tell you, that's one of the more impressive things for sure, and that's something that I always look forward to whenever I'm messing around with these softwares or anything. I'm always trying to see if the iPhone software is more impressive than the iPad software. As of right now, iOS 14 is more impressive in a way. I think it's cooler. I think, it has a lot of things going on with it. But I think iPadOS 14 is stable and much more stable on these older devices. And even though it doesn't make it more fast or anything like that, just the fact that it has one of the newer layouts, it feels good, it's responsive, and I haven't had really any big issues is a huge testament for iPadOS, and I cannot wait for this thing to officially come out. So the consensus is, if you have an older iPad, you're going to have a pretty good experience overall with iPadOS 14, but I'll tell you right now, do not update to it, it's just not worth it. But when it officially comes out, I'm pretty sure your older iPads are going to have a really good experience with it. So that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly, everything else of every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.